Hello, and thank you so much for being here today. My name is Lila, and today I am going to be talking with you about the 8 books that I read in October. So the first books that I read in October that I want to talk about are the first 3 books in the Bone Season series by Samantha Shannon, and those are The Bone Season, The Mime Order, and The Song Rising. And this is an amazing series. This series is quickly becoming one of my favorite series of all time, and these are definitely some of the best books that I read in 2025. This is a dystopian series set in 2059 where the Republic of Sion has oppressed unnaturals in Europe for 2 centuries. In this world, unnaturals are people who possess powers. Our main character, Paige, is a dreamwalker, which essentially means that she can possess people. Under the Republic of Sion's law, Paige should not be allowed to exist, but she has kept herself safe by holding a high rank in the criminal underworld. In Book 1, The Bone Season, Paige is forced to use her powers in self-defense and is accused of murder and taken to a mysterious prison. At this mysterious prison, she learns more about her abilities and more about the Republic of Sion. So far, this is an amazing dystopian series with a rebellion story full of found family, forbidden romance, politics, and plot twists. If you are a fan of Divergent or The Hunger Games or even Red Rising, I think that you would really enjoy this series. I wouldn't describe this series as super easy to get into because it does take a little bit of effort to understand the world building and the language that they use in these books, but I totally think it's worth the effort because once you do understand it, you will become completely immersed in this world. Obviously, I am loving this series. I have continued on with it and read the novella in between books 3 and 4, and I am about to start book 4, and this series is shaping up to be my favorite series of 2025. I rated the first 2 books in this series 5 stars and the third one 4.5. I am thoroughly enjoying this series and encourage you to pick it up if you enjoy a dystopian story. The next book that I read in October was House of Bane and Blood by Alexis L. Menard, and I actually read this for a 24-hour reading vlog, and if you would like to hear my more in-depth thoughts on this, I will link that video in the description. So in this book, heiress Camilla is forced into a marriage of convenience with her family's rival, Nikolai. This marriage of convenience is meant to save her family from bankruptcy and prevent a war. This book mixes dark romance and fantasy elements, so think of Peaky Blinders with magic. This book was so entertaining, and it is a very convincing slow burn romance with very likable characters. I think that if you are someone who reads a lot of dark romance books but hasn't tried a fantasy book, this would be a great place to start because it is so fun and easy to get into. Overall, I really liked this book and had such a fun time trying to complete it in a day. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. The next book that I read was Nightbane by Alex Astor, and this book is the sequel to Lightlark, which I read in September. We follow Isla and continue her story after the events of the first book. In this book, Isla deals with new responsibility and uncovers secrets about her past. While I was entertained throughout the entire book and never bored, I did feel that some of this book was a little bit formulaic and similar to other romantasy books that I had read. I also personally felt that at times the writing in this book lacked creativity. As an example, there is a character who is a black leopard in this book, and his name is Lynx, which to me is strange because he's named after a different big cat breed. That's just a brief example of some of the writing that didn't resonate with me in this book, but overall, it was fun. I just didn't love it. I gave this 3 out of 5 stars, but I'm honestly unsure if I should continue on with the series. If you've read the 3rd book and enjoyed it, please let me know in the comments, but for now, I'm just not sure if I want to continue on. I should also say that I am not a reader who is a fan of love triangles, and this plot relies heavily on a love triangle. So that definitely contributes to why I didn't love the story. The next book that I read is Rebel Witch, which is the conclusion to the Crimson Moth duology, and this is the sequel to Heartless Hunter. This book follows Rune Winters, who is a witch, and Gideon Sharp, who is a witch hunter. I don't want to say too much because this is a sequel, but it does have have forbidden romance and magic and a reluctant truce between a witch and a witch hunter. I really loved this duology and it felt so unique to me. I loved the Victorian era setting of it. This is the perfect duology for people looking for a fast-paced, captivating romantasy with a unique plot. While this is technically a YA book, it read like an adult romantasy to me. I really liked that this was a romantasy book that had a lot of plot and world building as well as a romance story. So it didn't rely solely on the romance to keep the story going. I gave this book a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed this duology as a whole, but I enjoyed Heartless Hunter just a little bit more than this one. I really love a duology. I think that it can be really fun to have a long series that you become captivated by, but having an entire story that is wrapped up in 2 books that you don't have to commit a ton of time to is so great. I also read Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo in October, and this was the perfect October read. This book follows Galaxy, or Alex as she goes by, who is a freshman at Yale. And Alex has the ability to see ghosts, who are referred to as Greys in this book. Alex is recruited into one of Yale's 8 secret societies that participate in occult activities. In this book, we follow Alex as she investigates the murder of a local girl, and we follow her as she searches for her missing mentor. This is a very unique story, and I loved the mystery elements and the creepy vibes to it. That is why I say it is the perfect fall book, because this was a super spooky fall read. I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it and found it to be quite unique, and I have already purchased the next book to continue on with the series. The last book that I read in October, I actually read on my Kindle, and that is The Wolf King. I had been hearing so much about this book on Book Talk, and it was free on Prime Reading, so I decided that I would try it out. In this book, a princess named Aurora is kidnapped by an alpha wolf. Aurora is not entirely unhappy about being kidnapped because it allows her to escape an arranged marriage that she did not want to be in. As they spend more time together, Aurora learns more about the wolves and a forbidden attraction to the alpha develops. This was a very entertaining and easy to get through book to read. However, I did feel like it was a little bit overhyped. While it was super fun, entertaining, and bingeable, I did feel that it leaned heavily on the romance and less of the fantasy elements. I personally tend to enjoy romantasy books that are heavy in fantasy elements and world building and has more of a subplot of romance, but this was definitely a romance forward romantasy. That being said, I do think that this book set the second book up to have more world building in it. Overall, I would say that this was a really fun read that I would put in the good time category rather than super well written category, but I don't feel the immediate need to pick up the next book. I rated this book a 3 out of 5 stars. So those were the 8 books that I read in October and what my thoughts were on them. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. I really appreciate you being here today, and I'll see you in my next video soon. Bye!